So now what we want to do is we want to create answers that are associated to questions. And we do this using what's called foreign keys. Now what foreign keys do is it gives a relationship from one class to another class. It's actually a relationship from one data table to another data table. So all of the questions then could have a relationship with all these answers. Think of it kind of like if you and I are friends, then we have a relationship. There's a bond between us. If we're not friends, we're strangers, and there's no association. So in programming, what we want to do is we want to create that bond, and you do it using a foreign key. So we'll do class answer, and we'll do models.model. And the first thing I'm going to do is question is equal to models.foreign key to question. And the reason I can write out question is because question has been defined above here. If we somehow put answer above, we would do question like that. Just a little subtle thing that's a little bit different, but I'm gonna leave it as here. So this is saying that the answer is associated to the question. Some sort of answer has to be associated to the question, and that's it. All right, so I'm gonna leave it like this. And we're gonna play around with this foreign key concept a little bit so you can understand it on a general scale. So now that we've got this, I'll also say text, so the text for the answer itself. And we can also have a text field if we'd like, or we can do a char field. I'm going to do a char field this time. So a character field, so char field. And you have to put in max length, so how long it can be. I'm going to give it 120, and that's it. So I have a question and answer. And then I also might want to have the same things of draft, active, and timestamp just to see and make sure that all this stuff is working. And lastly, we can have the same text stuff, or the Unicode as well. Okay, so here we've got a new sort of model that allows us to work with this in a completely different way. So since we have this model, let's actually go ahead and test it. And go into the admin. We're going to add in answer here. And I'm going to copy admin site.register and answer. And just quick note on the alphabetizing the classes themselves. In this case, I don't do it, mainly because question itself is the primary objective here. Question is the model, answer is a subcategory of that. So that's kind of why I do that. All right, so now that we've got this, we've got an admin, we've got question registered to the admin and answer registered to the admin. All we have to do is make the migrations for it. So I'll do python manage.py, make migrations, and then python manage.py, migrate, and then I'll run the server again. As we see, everything went through. We're looking good. Okay, so now that we've got this server running, let's go into our questions app, and we see answers here. Now if I add a new answer, notice I have this now here saying question, and I have a question in here. So there's actually a question that's coming through. Hello there is not really that significant to me, so I might want to change this question a little bit, or at least the Unicode for it, to being something slightly different. But I'm not even going to get into that yet, only because what we see here is I can now add an answer that's associated to this question. So I'll just say hello there again, or the question was like, is your name Justin? So I'll say text is no, it isn't. Okay, we'll save and add another. We'll do hello there. Yes, it is. Save and add another answer, and then we'll say, are you kidding me? Right, so we've got 3 answers now for the one question. So the question in here, we've got 1, and then we have 3 answers that are associated to that. If I try to add an answer without selecting a question, it's going to give me an error, right? Say this field's required. I did that on purpose. So now all questions have answers, or all answers have questions, but not all questions have answers, right? It's kind of a little confusing there, but that's how the relationship works right now. So the answer itself definitely has to have questions, where the question itself doesn't definitely have to have answers because of how we define this foreign key. Now, on the same lines is we could say that the answer could be associated to the question. So we could add a different sort of foreign key, which is called a many-to-many field. So we'll just say answers equals to models dot many to many field. And here we could use those quotes again, like we said before. We could have answer in here, and this will change things a little bit. We'll see this in a future video, but for now I'm going to stick with this answer question that we just did. So we're definitely going to come back to this, so bear with me for a second. All right, so now that we've got this, let's go ahead and run the Python shell and check this stuff out. So I'll do python manage.py shell. So what this is doing is it's going to emulate what we can do in our views. Because if you remember back into our newsletter, we had these views and we can do all sorts of things in here, and we can create, we could save our data and all that stuff. So like instance.save, all of these things. So these are views. So these are different methods that you can do within the Django views themselves. So we're just going to test them to see how they're done in general. So let's see what that means. First off, I want to import these models just like you would in any other project or any other file. So like in the admin, we import these models. So I go from questions.models, import question, and we can also import answer. So to get our questions, we can do question.objects.all. And this is called a query set. We'll talk about that soon too. But this is a query set. This basically gives us all of the questions that are associated into our database. All right, so if I want that first one, I'll just say the first instance. So I'll just say instance equals to question.objects.all, and I'll get 0 because it's in position 0 on this list. So I press enter, and now I have instance. So since it's associated to the answer, I can do instance.answer set.all. And what this does is it actually goes and finds the answers that are definitely associated to it. Notice in the model, there's nothing in here that shows us that. Because if we did instance.text, it shows us text. So we have this dot notation here. Instance.timestamp, we also have that, and so on and so forth. And it will actually give us all that information, which is very, very useful for us. So we're going to leave it here, just showing you how these things are actually connected. And they're connected in a way that means that we can make our admin a little bit easier on adding questions and answers. So that's what we'll do in the next one. We'll actually add it in such a way that our questions can also have a way to add in the answers right in with updating or adding the question itself. All right, so if you have any questions on this, let us know. Otherwise, let's keep going.